Hey there YouTube, I'm back. This is the second part to the video response for Xanderthegreat35, his contest, his 1,000 subscriber contest. And basically we're just supposed to talk about a player we despise. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I really despise Cam Newton. Um, he's just not a good guy. He was with Tim Tebow at Florida, and he got suspended from the team and had to transfer from Florida because he was arrested for stealing someone else's laptop. That just shows a lack of character right there. Um, and whenever since I heard about that, I really haven't liked him. And there was that whole thing about his dad accepting money for him to play at Mississippi State or something like that. His dad was accepting money, and Cam Newton claimed he had no idea about it. And really, what happened with Reggie Bush, the NCAA hammered USC and Reggie Bush for this, and they basically let Auburn go scot-free because Auburn was undefeated that year and they were the team in college football, and it's just a huge double standard. The NCAA favors the SEC so much; it's fairly ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama fell from number one. If didn't They didn't fall from number one at all. I mean, they're gonna fall to like number two or three, and there are still three teams who are undefeated: in Oregon, Kansas State, and Notre Dame. And personally, the SEC, I find that the SEC is not the strongest conference. The Pac-12, generally the SEC is. I'm being perfectly honest, it generally is. But this year, the Pac-12 has proven to be very strong. They've had almost half of their teams in the top 25 at some point this year. Um, they've had Oregon, Stanford, Oregon State, UCLA, USC, Arizona. Hold on, this. Washington at the very beginning of the season was ranked 24th. There's Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington, Stanford, USC, UCLA, Arizona, and then Utah and Colorado are garbage. But that's 7 out of 12 teams. I don't like to count Utah and Colorado because they really suck. So I'm just gonna say that's 7 out of 10 teams. Um, the real Pac-10. The only teams that aren't Washington State, Cal, and Arizona State. And I mean, that's pretty solid right there. So I just think the Pac-12 was better. I really despise the NCAA, but especially Cam Newton. Uh, he just isn't a quality person. And I have this quote here. I just saw it. He said, this was last year, beginning of the year. Tom Brady is good, really good. Actually, he didn't even say really good. He said real good. Shows his intelligence may not all be there either. Um, Tom Brady is good, real good, but he played in the same league I do. That's extremely cocky right there, if nothing else. He's comparing himself to arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Tom Brady's won 3 Super Bowls, um, and is probably the top three best quarterbacks in the league. I'd put I'd rank the top three somewhere around Rodgers, Breeze, and Brady, something like that. Um, and for Cam Newton to compare himself to Tom Brady last year, this was a year ago when he was like 2 games into the season. Tom Brady is good, real good. To compare himself to Tom Brady is horribly arrogant, and just no, you don't do that. Cam Newton is cocky, and I, there are so many better players out there than Cam Newton. The top draft pick this year, Andrew Luck, better than Cam Newton. RG3 is better than Cam Newton. He was the second pick. In fact, I would go so far to say Ryan Tannehill is having the same type of year Cam Newton's having this year, and I would say that. And I just really despise Cam Newton for his cockiness. He's a thief, um, and it's just gotten to the point where his ego is him. He is his own ego, and all 6'6" of him. His ego represents his stature represents his ego. Huge. He's a huge player who doesn't have a great arm. His skill set is not entirely what people think it is. I think last year was a fluke, and this year is only okay, which is what I expected last year, to be perfectly honest. He's a guy who can run and pass the ball okay. Comparing him to another young running quarterback, RG3 is so much better. RG3 isn't the same stature as him. He's much smaller, but he's also a running quarterback, and he's been compared to Cam Newton a lot. And I think some people would say it's because he's black, but their game style, there aren't many running quarterbacks really, and there were not many quarterbacks in the NFL draft this year who went very high. And I'm running on reserve battery power, so I should hurry. But RG3 is a more accurate passer. He's more elusive as a runner, and I think Cam Newton will eventually get injured because he's a power runner, and even with his size, he'll go down at some point, and that'll be the end of him. So that is why I despise Cam Newton, everything about him, and thank you.